I'm so excited to because we're going to be talking about goal setting. I don't know if you guys like goal setting or not, but I always really love goal setting, and it's so fun to look at your sheets from like before, because I always fill out a goal setting sheet. I have one that we created that I will share with you guys. Always really fun to kind of go back and look at the ones that I've written previously, have them from even when I started in real estate 6 years ago, and looking at like where I started and like looking back at all of those. I don't know. I think it's like really cool. Anyways, I'm excited because we're going to be talking about goal setting today, which I think is for everybody, not just entrepreneurs or like employed individuals. Like even if you're working for someone else, I think it's important too, because everybody has goals. The first thing that I've done is goal setting in so many different ways. And I kind of just compiled all of the ways that I felt like were really beneficial in my own PDF for our team. This goal setting part, which is like, what is your why, which is right here. I ended up taking that from Jason Samard. He's like my real estate coach. Anyway, I remember when he did it, it was just like it was so moving. It's so weird to say that too, but like I remember us going through it, and everyone's whys were very superficial in the very beginning, and then once you kind of really uncover it, it's like a really why, and you need to have a really strong why in order to actually do the things that you need to do on a daily basis to get to where you want to go. So that's why you see these four, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's five little whys underneath one big why at the top here. And that's because when you think about what you're doing on a daily basis, you're like, oh, why do I do what I do? You kind of think of something that is very I do anyway. I think of something super superficial, like, well, I want to make more money, or I wanted to raise my kids, right? Not that that's superficial, but when I really dig into why those things are important for me, it gets to more of a core value, if that makes sense. So when we're going through goal setting, we always dig into this, and if you're going to do it by yourself, ask yourself why, write down the superficial why right here, and then really be that annoying 3-year-old that asks you, well, why is that important? And then when you answer that, and then you say, well, why? Then you really kind of dig into like why that is a why for you. So like the first time that you ask yourself that question, it's not really why. You have to ask yourself the why 3 times in order to even figure out why the first one was important in the first place. So for myself, for example, I don't think I can write in here. I should have opened it up as a PDF so I could write in it. Okay. So the first one, let's just say I want to make more money. Okay. So then again, if I'm going to be that annoying 3-year-old that keeps asking yourself why, like, why is making more money important to you? Everyone's going to have a different answer for this, by the way. I mean, for me, I said I wanted to make more money because number one, I never wanted to have to ask myself, like, do I have enough in my bank account when I'm grocery shopping in order to like buy the things that I want? Like, I feel like that's like one of the worst feelings ever, is when you're going through the grocery store and you're like actually tallying it up as you go through. So I felt like that was like really important for me, is that I always said that I wanted what I wanted, and I didn't want to have to think about if I had enough money in my bank account. I was very privileged growing up, but I did have friends that weren't privileged. One of my best friends, I remember him not being able to go to hockey. I remember him saying that he wanted to play so bad. And I was like, well, why can't you play? And he would be like, well, my parents can't afford it. And so I have said to myself that I was like, I am never going to like not have enough money to like let my kids do the activities that they want to do. Again, when you think about it superficially, it's like, yeah, you want to make more money. Everyone wants to make freaking more money, but there's obviously like root reasons why you want to do those things. So that's just one of my examples. And then again, even thinking about like, here's another one of mine, I guess. I said that one of the main reasons I decided to become a realtor was that I said I wanted to raise my kids, because originally I was going to school to be a psychologist, and Cody and I bought our first house and we decided that we wanted to have a baby. And then almost halfway through my mat leave, I was like, holy fuck, my mat leave is running out. I'm going to have to go back to serving. and I'm going to have to go back to school. And I was like, man, but I don't want to go back to school for this. Number one, I just couldn't see myself doing that on a daily basis. But number two is that I was like, I don't want to be gone all day and not like be with my kid. And like, I don't want to miss sports events. Like my parents, again, like I said, I was like pretty privileged growing up, but they ran their own business and they worked crazy hours. Like I had a nanny growing up. And like, while you can have a nanny in a different scenario that's just like at home help, so you have more free time with your family, I honestly I would wake up and I remember going to school and coming home and my nanny would be there and my parents would come home from work and they'd put me to bed and then it would happen all over again. Like it would, like I barely got to see my family. I feel like that's important to me too, because of like growing up that way. And I see it all the time now where people go to work Cody and I were talking about this yesterday, actually, when he was working at the Brick, he worked 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day. Obviously he got 2 days off, but that's like smack dab in the middle of the day. Like you get up, you get ready, you take your kid to daycare, or like he would go and I would be home because again, I have the flexible schedule. And then he would get off of work at 6 o'clock, drive home for 6:30, and Hadley would be pretty much like crawling into bed at that time. So you'd see your kid like maybe 2 hours out of the day. Anyway, so again, it was like very important for me that I said that I wanted to have a flexible schedule so that I didn't miss doctor's appointments, didn't miss sports games, and was able to like be home with my kid more than 2 hours a day. But again, explaining to you why I think that's important to me is like everyone wants to have flexible schedules for their kids, but like why you want to do that obviously is going to be different depending on the person. Now, once you kind of dig into all of these, your why gets pretty big, right? Because you can actually add these all together. And so my why has gotten bigger than all four of these combined, right? So now it gets me out of bed every day thinking about how I was able to accomplish this amazing opportunity and that I want to be able to provide that to everybody else now. So originally it ended up being these things. It was like, I want to make more money. I want a flexible schedule for my kids. I don't want a ceiling for my income. If you watched my Instagram story yesterday, I want to snuggle my cats, get to stay home. No ceiling for income. That's not how you spell ceiling, is it, you guys? Is it? Okay. I was like, that looks weird. I know something's strange with it. There we go. No ceiling for income. Again, all of these now have been put into one where I'm like, holy crap, that I was able to do this for myself. And now my big why is that I want to be able to provide, share and grow.
Maybe like support other people in their dreams and goals.
Like inspire others
for them. So yeah. Inspiration.
Kind of cool because it ended up transforming from everything that I wanted in my life to actually be that now I want stuff for other people. So I don't know. I think that's kind of cool. So when you guys go through this, really think deep as to why. Be the annoying 3-year-old asking yourself over and over again till you really dig in why these things are important to you. And then it should compile into something quite large, which is going to get you out of bed every day. So you guys, look, how can you not want to work from home? The next thing that you want to do, now that you have the thing that's going to get your ass out of bed every day, now you want to set your goals. So again, 5 personal goals. I remember there was this one goal setting that I did, and it was really cool. It was a Tony Robbins goal setting. Anyways, and it took me forever. So this is why I don't do it. However, if you did want to like really deep dive into a goal setting, I remember this Tony Robbins one. It was really, really cool. It just took a long time. Anyways, in this one, it was like, sit down and write out 100 goals. 100 goals. Like, who the hell has 100 goals? But what ended up happening is that a lot of things were like not duplicated, but it was like kind of along the same line of thinking. So for example, if you're having a hard time coming up with like not a hard time coming up with 5 goals, but if you do have more than 5 personal goals that you want, the thing that Tony Robbins said was that if you write out like everything that you want, say for example, you're like, I want to travel to Italy, I want to travel to Nova Scotia, I want to do this, I want to do this. So then you can do like subheadings of other thing of that thing. So say for example, like you have more than 5, I would kind of categorize them so that you can have like one goal, but it actually embodies like traveling, for example. That's like the main thing that I can think of for an example. So when I did the Tony Robbins one, he wanted you to write down the smallest goal. That's when you ended up having to write down like all of these things. But then once you kind of looked at them all, there was like main subheadings for each one, which was kind of cool. So if you write down personal goals, this is 2021, don't mind me. I didn't change it apparently from last year. So 5 personal goals. And again, this can be anything. Maybe I want to go camping with my family 4 times this summer. Okay. I want to eat healthier, whatever, right? Like you can put whatever you want here. It's completely personal. Does anyone have any goals that they want to share? I always kind of think it's fun to share goals too. Sometimes people think it's really personal and they don't want to, but I think it's kind of cool to share goals because what your goal might be something that someone else wants to do, but they didn't think about it. So a lot of times people like goals, which I think is kind of, Eden wants to read every day. That's actually a good goal. There was that thing that our friend Jordan did, and it was called like I think it's like 72 hard or something like that. Or maybe it was 90. And it ended up
it was 70.
Was it? Okay. Anyways, and it was supposed to be where it's like no alcohol for the whole 70 days. And it's like you need to read 15 pages a day. Anyways, he ended up being successful at it. And I think I remember when he came out of it, he like was like 75 hard. That's what I thought that it was. Anyways, I really like that, Eden, and that you can like read. It's kind of cool to like set your goal to read every day. And then even if it's like 10 pages or like read for 5 to 10 minutes or whatever, I mean, you're going to get through a book pretty quickly if you set a goal just to do a few pages. I always have a goal too, listening to like podcasts and stuff like that. I have Audible. I don't know if you guys have it, but it's $14 a month that I pay for it. And I really love it because I have a hard time sitting down and reading. I don't know why. I know a lot of people like to sit down and read, but I love learning. I can't sit down and read. So Audible is really great. And I get 1 free book every month. And it doesn't matter what the value of the book is. It can be a $40 book, a $60 book, but I still get to use 1 credit. And the $14 a month gives me a credit every month. So I don't know. I really like Audible. And I have a whole library. Does anyone else have anything they want to do for like personal goals? I always have a goal of like trying to like cycle and compost more. I don't know about you guys. I always try to.
I used to, and I gave up.
Did you?
Once they took away like glass in the curbside bins, I was like, forget it. Kind of like stopped recycling as much.
You're terrible.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I need to start again because I do need to teach Lucas about that. Yeah, composting's coming. I saw that too, and that makes me happy.
I am happy about the composting coming because Cody and I pay $20 a month for friendly composting for like our food bins, but like our lawn clippings and stuff, I would love to have somewhere for those to go. I think the only thing that's unfortunate is that they're switching up how often they pick up your garbage bin. And I can appreciate their thought that if you compost, you're going to have less waste. But then at the same time, the food packaging that your food is coming in does not change. And our garbage stays the same. And Cody and I have been composting for years.
I'm also worried about like poopy diapers with people who have kids. Because in the summer, that stinks.
Yeah, it does stink. We always put ours like out into our bin right away. Like we don't have like a diaper genie or anything because Huxon's still in diapers. And we just like get right out to the garbage bin. And you're right. Like if it was weak, you're like,
yeah, I know. I just start to feel bad for the neighbors. Like if their kids are out there playing, I'm like, sorry, it's my garbage can.
I'm deterring the welcome. So funny. Not that we have bears in the city, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, they can edit this out. But we don't need poopy diapers in the video.
Anyway, so then we can move on to the next one. So then there's 5 business goals. So I always separate the two because you can't be always focused on business, right? Like obviously a lot of our goals are around business. And that's a lot of times why people think that, hey, I want to have a goal, is because it is like, a lot of times people think that you only need goals for business, but I feel like you can't always be so focused on your business, because you'll burn out. So Tony and I talked about this, I don't know, a couple months ago, I think. And you're going to have like growing phases, and then you're going to have maintenance phases. And it's like, even thinking about the season, right? Like there is going to be growing seasons, like in the middle of summer and spring. And then we also have like dormant phases where there's like maintenance, and you're just taking care of yourself, which is like, you can't grow 365 days out of the year. It's just not possible. So that's why I like having the personal goals and business goals, because if you're burning out, like you're never going to get your business goals done. So even when we talked about, I don't know if you guys were here or if you watched the video for this one, but we did talk about your daily calendars and stuff like that, and talking about like putting into your schedule things that help you fill your cup first. Because again, you're not going to be able to fill other people's cups, and you're not going to be able to do your job the best way possible if you don't at least fill your cup first, or do something that like makes you happy. Right. So I felt crappy the other day, and I remember Cody's like, is something wrong with you? Like, what's going on? And I was like, nothing's wrong. Like, I just don't feel good. Like, I don't know what's going on. Anyways. And then I ended up going outside, and I was like playing in my garden, quote unquote. I was like weeding and like watering my flowers. I love my garden. And then Cody came out like maybe 20 minutes later, and he's like, what are you doing? I was like, I should have came outside a long time ago. Because I was like, oh, it feels so much better out here. Make sure you fill your cup first. But your business goals are very important, obviously. So setting those goals, for example, this year, I want the team to hit 120 sales. And you know what? We might not hit that, and that's okay. But I would rather have a goal that like I'm running towards instead of sauntering to, because it's super attainable. So whatever your goals are, even if they're scary, it's okay. It can be unattainable, and that is totally fine.
But the goals, they're supposed to be scary though, aren't they?
I think that they're supposed to be scary. But it's all based on like personality types. I feel like there's personality types out there that are very cautious, and they don't want to do anything scary, and they feel like they failed if they don't hit a goal. And I just don't think that that's true. I feel like you need to have goals, and they need to be scary, and you need to be running towards them. And if they're not scary, then what was the point of the goal in the first place? I mean, that's my perspective.
It comes with also being able to like reflect and maybe learn from it. Like, let's say you didn't reach the goal. It's like, okay, like what can I do different next year to then reach maybe the same goal? Yeah. So like it takes a lot of conscious effort and thought.
And I mean, if you don't hit it, like you said, you're just going to game plan for next year. I had a goal of hitting 50 sales for 3 years, and I kept not hitting it. I was like so close though. And I was like, and then there was 1 year that I actually ended up having a dip in sales, and I was like, oh, what the hell did I do? And then obviously like you fix it, right? And then move on. But I ended up hitting it last year, I think. Last year was the first year that I hit it. And I remember being like, man, I've had that goal for so long, but I never felt bad about not hitting it, because I feel like I tried my best.
Yeah. And you were still successful, like even like say 40 sales, like you didn't meet it, but you were still doing a really good job at whatever you did.
I feel like as long as you tried your best, I even say this to I say this to Cody. I say, Cody, people who are going to be watching this will be like, who the hell is Cody? Cody is the guy who follows me around for the last 13 years. For anybody who doesn't know on this call, and whoever watches this, I said this to him the other day, or I say this to him, and I say it to Hadley, like our kids. And I'm like, I honestly don't care if things don't work out the way that they were. There was like effort that was put in. That's all that I care about. I don't think it's fair to be like, oh, you didn't hit it, so it's not good enough. I feel like if you put in the effort, then that's really all that matters. That's all you can ask of someone, is that they are trying their best. I think that's the same thing with goals. Don't set a goal and don't try. Like, that's obviously not going to like make you feel good. But if you're trying your best to hit your goals, then, I mean, you're on the right track anyway. Other business goal, I said I wanted to grow the team to 10 people. And I think that I said the breakdown, because I want supposed to be specific, apparently, says Jason. 5 agents, 5 admin. Okay. So we're getting there. I'm not hitting my goal, but that's okay. We're moving yardsticks forward again. I'm not going to kill myself. Or I'm not going to crush myself because I hit my goal. Still closer to my goal than I would have been if I didn't set the goal. So is there anything that anyone wants to add for goals for like a yearly goal? Something, a target to hit for the end of the year? Something that I'm thinking for like Erin too, for example, because she's a mortgage broker, could be like, oh, I want to have like X amount of referral partners for my business. Like that's a good business goal too. Or like, oh, I want to get a certain, I think you guys get paid on like basis points. So you could say you want to get a certain amount of that. So the goals that we just went over just now, those are all goals for like a 1 year goal. And then when you kind of go through the next section, I talk about 3 to 5 year goals for personal and business. And then we also do goals that are 2 plus. And I know that sounds crazy and people don't think of their life that far in advance, but I think that if you don't put it into the universe, it's just not going to happen. So have you guys ever heard of Ed Milet? I don't know if you guys have ever heard of him before. I'm just going to hide meeting controls because I want to Ed Milet because he's freaking amazing. If you guys need some like motivational shit in your life, your guy. So Ed Milet, I believe he is one of the wealthiest men under 50 in the world. He is like a motivational speaker. He has his podcast. He runs a bunch of businesses. He's also like a fitness guy. Like he's just freaking amazing. He has tons and tons of stuff. But the reason I'm showing you Ed Milet is because he can literally get you out of bed in the morning. This guy's insane. The reason I'm showing him to you is because I remember watching one of his videos, I think on his social media, and he was walking and on the beach, he was like looking up at these houses at the top of this like cliff that was overlooking this beach, overlooking the ocean. It was like one of the most beautiful beaches I've ever seen. It's like out of a movie beach. And he said that he was walking on that beach like 20 years ago or something like that. He's walking on the beach when he was like a kid. And he was like looking up at those houses and he was like, I'm going to own one of those houses one day. And he just like threw it out into the universe. And and it's like a scary thing to say out loud that you want something that seems so crazy unattainable. And he said it and he was like, I'm going to own one of those houses one day. And then he pointed at his house that he actually owns up on that freaking cliffside. And again, this was like 20 years ago or something like that he did that initial walk. So I truly believe that if you put things into the universe that they happen. I mean, obviously you have to work towards things, but I do believe that if you say that you want something in life, you need to say it out loud. Don't just like have murmurings and like be scared to say it. Like if you actually physically say it, things will happen in your life to get you where you want to go. So it happened to us a few times, actually. I always say that I want things and then they happen. Cody says that things turn up Skyleigh all the time. And I don't know if it's a horse up my butt or if like, I don't know, things just tend to pan out. But I said that I wanted to own 4 houses before 30. And we actually did it, which was pretty fucking cool because I was like by the skin of my teeth and it just kind of happened. I kind of forgot about the goal. And then like a month before my 30th birthday, and we ended up like buying this other condo. And I was like, oh my God, I hit my goal. I was like, this is crazy. Like, I can't believe that we actually hit it because I even forgot about it, but I did write it down. So that's the power of writing things down. Always, always write things down and always say them out loud. I don't care if it sounds unattainable or not. Freaking put them on your piece of paper. And I'm gonna post this too, so you guys can fill this out. Or if you wanted to make your own, you can totally do that. But personal goals for 5 years. Let me think. 3 to 5 years from now, where do we want to be? I would like to run a coaching program, put it in the universe, run a coaching program, have a team of 10 to 15 people.
Would that be more business than personal?
Oh yeah, you're right. Sorry. I would like to have another kid in 3 to 5 years. 10 years is too long. 3 to 5, I think, is good. Oh, this one's funny, you guys. How stupid is that?
It's not.
I feel like it's so silly. I want those like massive windows and like vaulted ceilings. And I want them to be shiplapped.
Ceiling you want to be shiplapped?
Yep.
Do you always want to have a kitten in the house?
No. Blue houses with red doors.
Nice.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with specific. I agree. I'm trying to think what else I want in 3 to 5 years. Like personal goals.
Yearly travel.
Oh yeah, that'd be good. Right? Like it would be so nice. Just go somewhere tropical.
Yeah.
2 weeks out of the winter. I feel like that would get me through cold spell. You're right.
Yeah.
I think we
could all use that.
Yeah. Like every January, February, I need to go somewhere warm just to like get over the hump. Because I always get like this weird, like, whoa, like when is this going to be over? In February, like March-ish, because like the snow melts a couple times and you think that that's the last glimpse of winter and then it fucking snows again. It's the worst.
February is when it always hits me.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah. So maybe go in like early to mid-February, take 2 weeks somewhere warm just to like get yourself over that. Like Cody and I once, I think in like November, and it was too early in the year. Like I wasn't over winter yet. Like I wasn't over it yet. So we were going to get married in February because again, we thought about this when we were planning it, but February is like peak season, obviously, for the reasons we're probably talking about. So it was going to be quite a bit more expensive, which is why we're getting married in October, but we're going to be going to Mexico for 2 weeks and it's not really going to be helping the winter blues / hump.
No, you'll just have to go again in February.
Yeah, this is true.
But that'll be your trip for 2023. So it'll just be a little more back to back than usual.
Yeah, it's perfect. Does anyone have anything that they want to share on these 2 sections or?
I feel like it is like funny. I never like share my goals usually, but I mean, I think that people that share them, it's more likely that they'll happen when you're just like put them out there.
So funny. I didn't want to, I can't remember why. The first team that I was on, he wanted us to share all, like everyone always read out loud and it was like all of them. And saying that I had to read it out loud. And I was like, you're not the boss of me. And I didn't want to read it out loud. And I think I was just being hard-headed. But I was like, they're personal, right? Like you shouldn't have to if you don't want to. So I can appreciate when people don't want to share them. And that's totally okay.
Well, it's kind of funny because it's like, I feel like they're not really that personal. I guess maybe it's just like a fear that you won't reach them after you've put them out there.
I don't think anyone would even remember. Nobody's going to remember.
I know, which is, it's like an interesting thing to reflect on because it's like, I've never really thought about it before because why you wouldn't put them out there. But I think that is the reason. It's like that fear of telling somebody what your goal is and then not reaching it.
Yeah. Although, you know what? I'm not even going to remember my own goals. So don't worry what other people think.
I know. It's interesting. It makes me think that I should just put them out there more because then you're just saying goodbye to that fear.
Yeah, you should. What's your personal goal? 3 to 5 years.
Oh my gosh, I have so many. I'm like such a goal person too. I have goals written out since I was like 14. And it is so interesting to like read back.
That's amazing.
I remember I like found a page, like this was probably actually like maybe 8 years ago now, but I found a page from when I was like a teenager and it was like so many things that I had in my life. And I'm like, wow, like I haven't read this since I was a teenager, even though like I would always reflect back on them and keep like growing on them. But it's like, there are so many things and they probably seemed big at the time. And now they don't even seem like, that's just like, they don't even seem that great, but it's like, oh, wow, you really have to appreciate too what you've already reached, like the goals you've already reached. that don't even seem like a big deal anymore.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy too is that they don't seem like a big deal to you, but they're a big, what we have, I'm saying we, because like I think there's a lot of people on this call and a lot of people that are going to watch this video that like have really great lives, right? And have really great careers and kids and like all this stuff. There's a lot of people out there that don't have half of the shit that we have. So like it might not be big to us. And I feel like everything that we have seems like nothing until you see it through the lens of somebody else who doesn't have anything. So it is cool to like look back and say like, that's my goal and I have it. And you're allowed to want more though, but like like you said, appreciating everything that we have in this moment because, and again, I keep bringing Cody up this time. I don't know if it's because he's in the other room and he can hear me or what, but I remember like, so Cody and I have been together 13 years. And I remember like, I've always been this way where I'm like, I just want more and I want more and I want more. And he asked me if something was wrong. And I was like, I'm not happy. And he's like, well, like thinking that I'm not happy with him. And I'm like, no, it's not that I'm not happy with you. Obviously we've been together for a very long time. I better be damn happy or else I'm making a mistake for this long. But I remember being like, well, I'm not happy. And he's like, thought that something was wrong with our relationship. And I'm like, no, but I always feel like whenever I get to where I want to go, I always want more. And I feel like there's something fucking wrong with me. Anyways, and a friend of mine, I'm letting my dog in if you guys are wondering. A friend of mine, he is a broker for a financial company. He is absolutely amazing. And I remember telling him that, and I'm like, something's wrong with me. Like, I just can't stop. And I'm not happy with what I have. And like, I feel like I should be like, why is there like this hole of something that I feel like I need to fill? Anyways, and he ended up sending me the podcast from Ed Milet, the first one that I ever listened to of his, and it was called Blissful Dissatisfaction. And so no matter where you are, I feel like people always do want more and they don't feel like what they've accomplished is good enough. But then instead of thinking about it as that you're not happy and that you're not like where you want to be, he talked about feeling blissfully dissatisfied, which is also a good thing because you set new goals and get to like the next stage, right? Because if you just set a goal and then you're happy and you sit there, you're never going to move forward. Like these people, again, Ed Milet, who has this crazy house on the top of this beach, he probably didn't yes, he set that goal that he wanted to be there, but there's all these little mini goals in between that actually help you to stepping stone to get to those big ones, right? So I feel like you always need to be like adding to your plate and getting one thing and then adding for another. And it doesn't seem like much to you, but there's a lot of people who are at square one and it's actually a big deal to them. So be blissfully dissatisfied and grateful for how far we have come because it's obviously taken a lot of effort to get here.
I think since I started like using like a gratitude like journal, like I do journaling in the morning, like part of my morning routine, and like reflecting on the day before, like planning for the day ahead, like talking about my gratitudes, it's like really helped also see what like all the things that I've accomplished.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's cool to like look at all of that stuff for sure. And I feel like we still have so far to go too, which is cool. And like the further we get, the more we can help others, which also is really cool. Because if you aren't in a position, like if you're not in a certain position, you're not going to be able to help other people. And like that, I really like helping other people. So I'm always working towards bettering myself so that I can like help more people. Right. So the team just donated we donated $1,000 to the food bank for this fundraiser that someone's doing. And I was like, that would have been like a lot of money for me to donate. And I like didn't even bat an eyelash at it. I'm like, yeah, sure. Here. And I'm like, that's pretty fucking cool in my opinion. So I don't know. Do you have a business goal?
Yeah, I have like so many business goals. I do have like some around like partners, like having 10 really consistent partners that I work with. That's like been one of my goals for this year because I have a lot of people that I work with, but I want like really strong relationships with like a fewer. That's like business goal. What other business goals that I have?
Do you have a 3 to 5 year one?
Yes, I do. I want to make 400 grand in a year and still be able to like drop my kids off, pick my kids up, do all the things. It's like balancing those things, not have to work. Like to make that in my old job, I would have had to work like so crazy. But now if it's like, if you get a few people on your team, still like balance those.
Yeah, totally. I feel like there's not the old job that I did. I was a server. I'm like, there wouldn't have been enough hours in the day for that to even happen. So you're right. It is. I think that's really
interesting when you're your own business, because like, yeah, in my old job, it's like it's like you were always chasing when you're working for someone else. You could never, I don't know. It just seemed like to make any amount of money that was like a lot, you would have to like sell your soul, give up all your family time.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Have you ever seen the 4 business quadrants?
I don't know. What are they? Then maybe.
Put like a cross on like paper, and then on the left side quadrant, it talks about like the employee world, which is trading dollars for hours. And then it also talks about like the self-employed world, which like we kind of fall into. Well, sorry, we do fall into the self-employed world, but we also have the option to build a business in the world that we're in as well. So it goes employee, self-employed, business, investor. And anyways, all the money that we're talking about is built on the right side of the quadrant, because you can't build that kind of income without building a business and leveraging other people in order to get the job done. Right. So it's cool. I love that you have that goal. I mean, that would be you moving probably from the self-employed world into the business world, which like, I didn't realize. I always, when I first got into real estate, I was like, I love that I'm self-employed. And then I learned about these 4 quadrants, and I was like, I do love being self-employed, other than the fact that if I don't work, I don't get paid.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, I would like to go on holiday, and all the systems hold everything up that I can go and that it still operates. So that's what I'm working towards, I guess, in this business goal section. Probably similar to yourself. It's like having a fully run, functioning business that if you unplug, you're still generating income.
Yeah, totally. Exactly.
Yeah. Making money when we sleep. So personal goals, 10 years plus. I want to own a home in a tropical location. If I say tropical, I honestly just want it to be warm. Cody and I have talked about like Texas. I think it's Houston. Cody, is it Houston or Austin? Austin, Texas.
Do you want warm or hot? Like really hot?
Either or. Anywhere that is somewhere that I can have a garden all year round. That would be cool. I think it would be cool to have. I'm setting new goals right now because I actually haven't thought about my 10 years plus for a while. Since January, because we did a goal setting in January. In 10 years, it would be cool to double our investments. So that would be like 8 rental property. No, because we have 3 rentals and we live in one. So that means that I would need 6 rental property. 10 years plus, I want to be able to semi-retire at 50. 20 years from now, I'm going to be semi-retired, you guys. I'm probably going to work the rest of my life because I love it. However, it would be nice to be like, I'm going to only work 3 days this week.
That's what just so nice to have that passive. More. Yeah. Choosing.
Yeah. There was a seminar that I ended up taking. There was a special guest at one of the work conferences that I was at, and it was John Maxwell. I don't know if you guys know Maxwell. He's another like really amazing like motivational speaker. He is like entrepreneur, and he talks about like how to grow your businesses and stuff like that as well. Anyways, what he ended up saying, he's like older. Like I think that maybe I should Google how old he is. How old is Maxwell? Because I don't want to be wrong. Oh, 75. I was going to say he's in his 70s. And then I was like, I don't want to be rude and say that he's older than he is. Okay. So this is John Maxwell. I remember he came. So like, I mean, he should be retired. Most people retire, especially business owners who do very well for themselves. They can retire earlier than 75, obviously. However, he came into the thing and he was telling us this story about somebody that had been like, oh, where are you going? And he's like, oh, I'm going to go speak at this conference. And they were like, oh, well, like, why are you doing that? And he's like, well, why not? And they're like, don't you have better things that you want to do with your time? And he was just like, he's there. Aren't you retired? Don't you have better things you want to do? And he was like, I am retired. And he's like, and the cool thing about that is that I get to do what I want when I want. And this is what I want to do. And I was like, that's like, I just literally was like, that's fucking amazing. Because while he is doing something technically quote unquote work, he loves it enough that he's doing retirement and he's totally happy to be there. Like he was excited to be there. So I'm like, how amazing is that you've done something for your whole entire life that you love so much that you're still going to do it in retirement. That is my goal, which I do love this. I do love it. Business goals, 10 years plus, writing those down. And then I'm not going to take up too much more of you guys' time. The last, double that last sheet, apparently. The last section is 5 habits that haven't served me. And so I remember doing this as well. And I always thought that it was very important to kind of like think about and address the things that don't serve you very well. So like I wrote this one down and I've been working very hard towards it. And I have a naturopath and I'm like, my habit that doesn't serve me, I should start with, is that I stay up too late. Okay. And so I've been working on this and I'm trying to go to bed early. And I ended up taking steps to talk to a naturopath to be like, why the hell am I so tired in the morning and I can't go to bed at night? Anyways, and the crazy thing is that I don't produce any melatonin at night. I did like this hormone test and they're like, yeah, normally people produce melatonin, which makes them tired and that you go to bed. But for some reason, I don't really produce any, which is why I stay up really freaking late. And then I can't get up in the morning because now my body's actually sleeping. So anyways, that's one habit that doesn't serve me. This one was like a 4-year ago thing. I'm not doing this anymore, but maybe it's something that you guys have to deal with, drinking too much. I don't know, but I'm sure there's people out there in the world that do that. Even like I have friends that go pick up a bottle of wine and or back every night after work. So maybe that's not serving them. Maybe it is. I don't know.
There's no way it is.
I don't think that it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I like casually drinking, but like I don't do it every day. Like Cody and I have like a huge fridge downstairs full of alcohol that people leave to have barbecues in there till the next barbecue. You want to drink? There's a big fridge downstairs. What's another one? Another one would be, I want to say social media, but I also social media is a big part of our business. So I want to say that social media is an important part of our business. There is a way that you can do it that is not going to be serving you, which would be maybe like unintentional social media. Like say, for example, yeah, because social media is really good for our business and entrepreneurs. I think it's a very important part. However, I think that there is a way that you can be completely unintentional and get drowned in 2 hours of scrolling and there was no purpose for what you just did. So I think being very intentional about your use on social media is important. Anything else you guys can think of that might fall here that doesn't like serve you to
procrastinating like important tasks?
You know, the thing that I heard about procrastinating though, it was in one of the books that I was reading and it said that procrastinating happens when it's something that you can do, but that you should leverage it to somebody else. Okay.
Did you say that before? Because I feel like I've just heard that somewhere.
I did say it before in one of our meetings because I was like, what? Like, I was like, like, I can't believe that. I procrastinate a lot because I have the capability of doing a lot of the things that our does. And however, I don't have the time for it. And then I like just procrastinate. I'm like, oh, I'll do it later. I'll do it later. But procrastinating is because you can do it and you feel like you should do it, but it really should be leveraged to somebody else who can do it probably better than you can. Anyways, that I think that person said that in the book. And I was like, cool, that's cool. Any other ones that you guys can think of?
Maybe saying yes too much. It's not something I do anymore, but like, accepting all the invites and I don't know what else.
That is a good one.
Just saying yes too much, not setting boundaries. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. Cause I mean, saying yes to too many things obviously isn't good either. I was impressed with myself because I am the yes man. And I had a client slash friend of mine be like, oh, why don't you just come to Amsterdam with us? Like we can fill out the paperwork there. And I was like, oh, because I really want to. But I was like, I'm sorry. Like I have so much work that I have to do. And like, not only that, like I'm on a meal plan, trying to stay on my, like, I didn't tell them this, but I was like, I'm on a meal plan. I'm trying to stick to it because we're getting married in October and I want to be like good for when we go. I've done like pounds in the last like year. So I'm like, I would like to like stick on my goal. And not only that, like I did have a lot of work to do, which I could have freaking pushed back. But at the same time, I did say no. And I was very proud of myself because setting boundaries for me is very hard. You can say yes too many times. So that is my goal setting. Oh, here's another one. Sorry. This is so weird. You can see how it like, there is one more page because you can see that goal setting, it has this one duplicated where it says business goals 10 years plus and personal goals 5 years plus. For some reason that is like a double page that shouldn't be there. But there is one more that says what goals did I get from last year? And this would be like your reflection from the sheet that you ended up writing on from last year. So this is kind of cool too, because you can go through your new one and be like, hey, I actually checked off. I forgot that we even had this on here, to be honest. So anyways, that is the last page. I did not dig out my sheet from earlier this year, so I don't know what goals I hit. I'll have to do that because I do think it's really
sales.
I did. Yeah, you're right. I hit my sales and we did buy that other investment property. So that's another goal. I guess our goal was to renovate this house and we did that. It's not fully done, but it's almost done. It was a goal for a Cody goal, but either he is finishing up his like real estate course. I feel like that was like a family goal of ours. So he's his real estate course, which is cool. Anyway, so that is it. Do you guys have any comments or anything that you would think would be cool to add on here? Or yeah, I think it's kind of hits all the points. And then once you kind of like write your goals down, something that we do as well is that we reverse engineer everything. So say, for example, you want to hit 100, like I said, I wanted to hit 120 sales. So then we were able to like reverse that and say, okay, that means that Skyleigh make 20 phone calls a day, Jill phone calls a day, and we agents to the team that are also making calls a day. It's cool to like reverse engineer it so you know exactly activities that you have to do in order to get your goal, which we did talk about the power of a daily activity tracker in another one of our sessions. And it doesn't seem so scary when you have just like a daily thing that you have to do. And it might be just like 5 things that you have to do daily. And then all of a sudden it's like, holy crap, a year later, you're at this crazy goal that you didn't even think was attainable, which I think is kind of awesome. That's it for today. Thank you guys so much for coming. If you think of anything else that we could add onto the sheet, let me know. Because I'm cool to change it and add things. So I'll let you guys.
Awesome.
You're welcome. Okay. Bye guys. Thanks so much for coming.
Bye guys.